Hello and welcome to another edition of Blind Eye Live. I gotta get an intro thing to put up for like 5 minutes before the show, but we're doing it. We're live. So I did not stream Thursday and Friday. There was reason for that. I was prepping for something big that was happening Sunday. Launch of C-Tex Church in Beaumont, Texas. That is Southeast Texas Church. That and NFL Combine was going on, and the workout started at 3, and I wanted to watch as much of it live as possible. So I was running that, or I was watching that stuff in the early, or as much as possible. And since it starts at 3, and I usually start the show at 3, which I know it started at 4 today, some good reason for that. Partially seeing, if starting later helps the channel, whatever. But, so that's why I didn't stream Thursday, Friday. What I do have for you is a lot of combine takeaways. Watching a lot of these young guys perform. Once again, I start streaming, my cat wants my attention, of course. Ugh, sorry. So, with that being said, I am your host, Hunter King, Blind Eye himself, owner and proprietor of Blind Eye Media, and once again, welcome to Blind Eye Live. So we're going to start off today. There is some huge news today surrounding, and I probably should have put this in the title as well. One of these two main topics. Cat, there are wires there. Back away. Sorry. He just about ripped, he was about to rip my headphones off my head and potentially unplug something else. So anyway, I guess we'll get to the first big news that I led my title with. Calvin Ridley has been suspended for the entire 2022 season, allegedly for betting on games. This is big. We haven't had a scandal like this. Well, a betting scandal in American professional sports in a while. Cat, stop. Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. But we haven't had a huge betting scandal in a minute. Hot minute. And, sorry, now my cat's got me paranoid. Throwing me off my game. See, I do not want to kick you into the backyard, cat. Like, I've never had to do that. Come on, man. Sorry, it's like, this is so unprofessional. If you stay over there, I will pet you while I talk. Oh, goodness. That cat doesn't know how much I like having him around. So, Calvin Ridley, allegedly betting on games. This is huge. Suspended for the whole 2022 season. And if you remember, he pretty much sat out the entire 2021 season for mental health reasons. Which is kind of interesting. It makes me wonder, well, was he sitting out because he didn't want to play? Did this betting thing happen after the mental health thing? Was it happening before? I mean, this is big news. And you know what? I'm going to try and pull it up right now. So let's... Yeah, so breaking news here. So NFL suspends Atlanta Falcons wide receiver Calvin Ridley.
People assume they can't afford great insurance, but State Farm has surprisingly great rates that fit any budget.
Just like they assume.
So, yeah, I love how on my iPad those ads are muted for me on here it doesn't. So NFL suspends Atlanta Falcons wide receiver Calvin Ridley for at least this season for betting on games. Need to adjust my setup real quick for me reading an article. Y'all get to see just how blind I am. All right. So, Atlanta Falcons receiver Calvin Ridley has been suspended for at least the 2022 season after gambling on games. So, just this season, while he's sitting out for mental health reasons. Let's see. The NFL released a statement Monday announcing his suspension, alleging he gambled on games over a 5-day stretch in November when he was on the non-football injury list to address his mental health. Ridley stepped away from football on Halloween, saying he needed to get his personal life in order. In a tweet Monday after the suspension was announced, Ridley said he bet $1,500 total and that I don't have a gambling problem. He also tweeted that I know I was wrong, but I'm getting 1 year, LOL. Well, see, this is the thing. As the NFL has shown in the past, what matters to them is money and where all money is going and coming from, and they care about the integrity of the sport in that regard. Maybe not necessarily in any other regard. You know, Ray Rice getting suspended for 2 games when the NFL had knowledge, like had seen the video of him decking his then fiance in an elevator, and then upping it to 14 or to the entire season. Or 14 games, whatever, after the public got the video, you know, because Ray Rice being on that team means the Ravens are better, meaning the Ravens are going to make more money. That's what the NFL cares about. Gambling, oh God, especially in games you're not playing in, oh goodness. At the same time, I don't want players in the league betting on games. That's a conflict of interest. Now, he's not playing at that time, but we'll see if that's really the only time he was gambling. The NFL determined that Ridley placed multi-legged parlays or multi-leg parlay bets involving 3, 5, and 8 games that included the Falcons to win via his mobile device out of state, a source told ESPN's Adam Schefter. Whatever the out of state thing means. So he bet on the Falcons to win. Okay. The NFL learned of Ridley's betting activity through its relationships with the legal sports betting industry, which kind of makes sense because these bettors in the industry, these institutions, they don't want games potentially being rigged either. Because that's another thing. Just because Ridley's placing bets doesn't mean that Ridley's not in touch with people potentially, because that's the other thing. Ridley would have the in-league connections and potentially in specific game connections that, you know, he might know that some teams are trying to lose games or be working with players. You never know. I mean, that's a deep conspiracy, and I think Ridley was just being an idiot, but there is nothing more fundamental to the NFL's success and to the reputation of everyone associated with our league than upholding the integrity of the game. every decision Roger Goodell's made has been for the integrity of the game. Which begs me to question, then how much do you really care about the integrity of the game? Because, God, his decision-making is awful sometimes. Like, the integrity of the NFL game would go up exponentially if they got rid of Goodell and replaced him with someone competent at anything other than negotiating TV deals. Notifying him of his suspension, responsibility of every player, coach, owner, game official, and anyone else employed in the league. Your actions put the integrity of the game at risk. Your actions put the integrity of the game at risk, threaten to damage public confidence in professional football, and potentially undermine the reputation of your fellow players throughout the NFL. Really, his fellow players, I didn't realize any of his other fellow players were involved. See, this is the other thing. Like, I hate, in many ways, like, collectivist terms like that when referring to individuals. There might be certain scenarios where, like, this, I'm like, no one else is allegedly involved in betting or in whatever this is, so I don't understand why this would mess with those people. So let's see. NFL players suspended for gambling. Alex Karras back in 1963. Also, Paul Hornung in 1963. Not a shock about those two guys. Art Schlichter in 1983 after his career was going down the toilet. Josh Shaw in 2019. Wow, I missed that one apparently. That was among a myriad of issues Josh Shaw had during his playing career in college and the pros. And then now Calvin Ridley this year. Wow, that Josh Shaw one, for someone who follows as closely as I do, I can't believe I don't remember that. So, let's see. For decades, gambling on NFL games has been considered among the most significant violations of league policy. In your case, I acknowledge and commend you for your promptly reporting for an interview and for admitting your actions. Which, that's nice that he's not denying, but we'll see if this is the only infraction. The NFL said its investigation uncovered no evidence that Ridley had inside information or that any game was compromised in any way, which I would doubt. There also was no evidence that any of the Falcons' coaches, staff, or players were aware of the betting activity. Yeah, because he wasn't with the team. He can apply for reinstatement February 15th of next year. He also can appeal the suspension. I don't think that's going to happen. Well, I mean, I think he's going to appeal. I don't think it's going to do anything. Appealing at the NFL level doesn't mean anything because the arbitrators usually just greenlight whatever was told or whatever the NFL does. It's not really arbitration at that point. So, I'm not going to get into the rest of this, but that's pretty big news because the Falcons were planning on trading Calvin Ridley, and we'll see. We'll see if he or anyone else decides to try and use a mental health defense as some kind of weird get out of jail free card thing, because a lot of people like to do that. Let's see. There were rumors of this. So this happened. We're going to go through these headlines real quick. Patriots release linebacker Kyle Van Noy to clear cap space. For the second offseason in a row, Kyle Van Noy cut 1 year into his contract. Bengals franchise tag safety Jesse Bates. That was a no-brainer. That was always going to happen. Jack Doyle retires after 9 seasons. A lot of people thought he might be a cap casualty. So Jack Doyle, and he's had some injuries. So Doyle retiring takes him out of the tight end market, or the potential tight end market, and basically necessitates the Colts to address that position. Browns place franchise tag on tight end David Njoku. I'm not shocked by that either. To me, Njoku was arguably the top tight end on the market. Certainly the most physically talented tight end on the market, particularly at his age. See, this was the other big news. So I've already read this article earlier. This is before the Ridley news hit, but Aaron Rodgers allegedly has a offer on the table from the Packers that would reset the quarterback market. We're not talking about a 10-year mega deal like Mahomes got, but we are probably talking at a deal that's going to pay him more than Mahomes and Josh Allen just got. We're probably looking at a 3 to 4 year contract, or at least 3 to 4 years of guarantees. And we're probably looking at close to $50 million a year, maybe $50 million a year for him. Sources: Chiefs use franchise tag on offensive tackle Orlando Brown. That's not a shock either. I think the tag number for him is like $17.6 million. I have a feeling he's going to get a long-term deal close to $20 million a year, or maybe at $20 million a year. I think I'm right at 17.6. Might be 18.6. I don't think he's going to get Trent Williams $23 million, but I'm going to say he's going to end up with $20 million a year. Jets owner Johnson eyes Chelsea bid. So he's going to bid on Chelsea. Chelsea fans are going to be like, yay, we're going to get rid of Roman Abramovich. Oh no, another American owner has bought a majority stake in one of our soccer teams. It's the end of the world. Because that's literally what's going to happen. They're going to celebrate. It's going to be just like what happened at the 2017 Royal Rumble when Roman Reigns looks like he's won the Royal Rumble, and then Randy Orton, who had not been eliminated, sneaks in and dumps Roman out, and everybody starts cheering and celebrating because, oh, Roman Reigns didn't win. Oh no, it's Randy Orton. Oh, I mean, like, the immediate go from, like you could hear it. It was audible in the Alamo Dome. Oh, it was so great. That's what would happen if Johnson bought Chelsea. That would be English football fans. English soccer fans, I guess, for here in the States. And then Bengals Drew Sample is apparently trying to get relatives out of Ukraine. What is this? Is his wife from the Ukraine? Let's see. Because I know he's married. Sample and his wife, Angelina, told Fox News on Monday morning that Angelina's aunt and her grandmother on both sides of her family are still in the war-torn country. So yeah, so she's, or at least her family is from Ukraine. Prayers for them, because that's tough. That is tough. On a brighter note, just to kind of mention the Rodgers thing one more time, or to get, I say a brighter note, on something less serious. Rodgers back December 29th said this wasn't going to be a long, drawn-out process. And there have been some people talking about, well, this is starting to get long and drawn out because the franchise tag deadline is here. Long and drawn out process for one person might be trying to deal with this into the summer. Like, this is the off season. Free agency hadn't started yet. And if people are talking from the Packers' perspective, yeah, tomorrow is the tag deadline. But, and they're thinking about, potentially franchising Davante Adams. Well, I think Rodgers' decision is going to be made before the start of free agency. I don't know if it'll be made by tomorrow. And I don't care. I'm not going to get into this media criticism of Rodgers. Now, personally, there are certain criticisms I've had of Rodgers for years. I mean, before Matt LaFleur took over as head coach and going into 2020, Rodgers was kind of on a downtick. He'd had some injuries. He wasn't playing at the level he's played the last 2 seasons. That's for certain. I would say that if we're talking about if we're talking about and I've criticized his personality. I thought he was kind of I didn't think he was the greatest people person. Not that that's a terrible thing, like, but he almost always seemed bored with everything. He seemed bored with everyone. There were some people who were using some stuff with his family, like his younger brother Jordan, once he graduated from Vanderbilt, he ended up getting on the show The Bachelor, and his family, like, one of the things they had on the show was they were going to do a family dinner with the Rodgerses, and Aaron was dating Olivia Munn at the time, and of course this is like at the height of Olivia Munn's like popularity, and Aaron's like, I don't know if he made like I can't remember if there was a big statement about, but like he didn't show up because he never agreed to it. Like he didn't want to be a part of like that kind of, and Aaron's never really wanted to be a part of like, or it seemed like he never really wanted to be part of spectacles. And people can talk about, and this is the problem with the media. When the media makes a spectacle out of people's lives, it's that person's fault. It's not the media's fault. The media is doing their job. They're covering the spectacle. No. The media creates the spectacle. It's just like with Tim Tebow. Yeah, people love Tim Tebow. But if ESPN didn't want to talk about him every day, they didn't have to. They chose to. And they didn't want to talk positively about him. They wanted to talk negatively about him. And because they didn't like him. But they got ratings because there's so many people who loved him. So, they made a business decision, whatever. That's still their fault. They don't have to cover anything they don't want to cover. They literally don't have to. And they actually show it constantly. Because they've decided, and it seems like the whole media apparatus, for the most part, has decided since the beginning of last summer that they're just not going to talk about Deshaun Watson. Like, they're going to talk as little as possible about that. Because there's a conflict of interest here in the narrative. Because before this happened, the Texans were racist. Bill O'Brien was racist. Watson, they were pushing like, white quarterbacks aren't treated the way Watson is. It was the big race. It was a big race thing. Well, now this hits Me Too. Well, now if they talk about it, they have to be on the Me Too side, right? Well, no, then they might be racist because they're not believing the black man who's been, in some cases, especially with athletes, we've seen in recent years. I'm trying to remember the guy's first name, but I believe his last name was Davis, former USC linebacker, got sentenced to prison, was in prison for years because a fellow high school student, she claimed that he raped her. And years later, she, admitted that that never happened, that she lied. She got scholarships, she got all this stuff. And there's a bot. Thanks, bot. Appreciate the comment. But she ruined this guy's life. And this happens time and time. This has happened other times, in the case of like Ezekiel Elliott a few years ago. And he got suspended despite the fact that the police found no wrongdoing on Ezekiel Elliott's part. It's like false accusations. So, on the one hand, there is this potentially real narrative of, false accusations against Deshaun Watson. There's also this very potentially true narrative that Watson used his fame to encourage or coerce, a bunch of female masseuses into sexual acts, and these are over the last few years, Me Too and, racial injustice are like the two biggest mainstream news narratives and like activist narratives. So, talking about Watson's dangerous for them. So, to me, it looks like everyone's pulled out of talking about the topic. So, oh, another bot. Hey, what's up? What? Okay, I'm not going to do that. Sorry. Anyway, this is a big, the Watson thing's a big story, and I think it's interesting that it's just not being covered. Got a little off track. I have a tendency to, get off in the weeds. But getting back on the Rodgers thing, the media can decide what it does and doesn't cover, and they need to stop acting like they don't, and that they don't do that already. They just want the excuse that they have to. And as a public, we've even allowed them to do it. Because, to be honest, there's a lot of argument over defamation laws. I would argue that some of the reporting by Adam Schefter has defamed Rodgers' character. I believe the media, the way they frame stories, they're defaming. They are intentionally attempting to defame people. And I think, as someone who tends to float closer to free speech absolutist, I don't want to censor speech, but I do want, in some cases, I do think that because of the power the media wields when they lie or when they intentionally try and destroy people with rumor, not fact, but rumor or opinion, I almost feel like people should be held responsible in some way. Now, the easiest way for them to be held responsible is not through criminal courts. The easiest way to hold them responsible is for us to turn off ESPN for anything other than live sporting events. Now, I read articles. I do, because there are some journalists there who still do really good quality work. But I don't watch their TV product. I don't watch First Take. I don't watch NFL Live anymore. I don't want to listen to Marcus Spears like be an idiot for, hours out of my day. I don't want to listen to Dan Orlovsky's hot takes. I do wonder what these bots are doing. But I do thank them for their chats. It helps the channel. So, and that's kind of what my goal is here, is to, I guess I am sharing my opinions. Like, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not doing the show to just be the most unbiased person ever. Like, I have my biases, but I'll admit them. I do try and talk, I do separate fact from opinion, or at least I very much attempt to, as well as I can. But I'm of the mind that you've got all these companies and all these sports leagues that only allow a narrative. They have corporate narratives. And that's fake. That's not real. There's a lot of people, and people who don't adhere to that company line, they are suspended, they are admonished, they are bullied into apologies, or they are released. Sometimes there are all of those happen. Sometimes people apologize and they still end up losing their jobs. Which also, don't apologize. And never apologize to the mob. Never apologize for your opinions. Well, unless they're just something egregious like Hitler did nothing wrong, then you probably should, one, seek help. And two, apologize. Unless it was like a joke. Like it was, unless you were joking around. Because that's another thing. Don't apologize for jokes. But the reason to not apologize is forgiveness will never be given to you. They will hold that over your head forever. Because that's how they create their hierarchy. So, and all of them have done stuff like this in the past. They just are praying it never comes out. And in some cases, they're all wink, nudging each other. That, hey, I've got your back, you've got mine. We know, but we're working towards the top, baby. So if you're in their out group, you'll never be in the in group. You'll never be a cool kid. Don't try to be. And that's what this channel is going to be. Like, I'm not trying to be a cool kid. I'm trying to be respectful for the most part. I did talk about Marcus Spears, like, being an idiot on ESPN because he has a lot of idiotic takes. If he stumbles across this someday, or someone tweets this at him or something, and he goes at, my Twitter account or whatever, I don't care. I'm not worried about that or scared. Like, I think his takes are bad. Now, is the guy got a personality? Yeah. The guy has talent in front of a camera. I just think he doesn't use it well. And he was a better football player than he was a media person, for sure. And he wasn't like an amazing football player, but I think some people underrate his career. But to me, he doesn't really talk. To me, listening to him, I'm like, that guy was a former NFL player. Dan Orlovsky, like, there are times where, like, I think Orlovsky has a lot of knowledge, but I think he worries too much about hot takes. I think he tries too hard. But out of everybody on ESPN, I like him more than most of their personalities. But to be fair, like, I don't like him near as much as the personalities I grew up with, because they were better in many cases. And most of our great media people don't work for ESPN anymore. Like, the really fun ones, like, they're working for The Athletic. Or they're writers. The writers are the real stars to me. They're the ones who know things. And a lot of the best ones have been leaving ESPN. And in many cases forced out of ESPN. And I think it says a lot. I think it says a lot that Tanya Ganguly left and went to, what was it, the LA Times? Because it's crazy to think that the LA Times, in my opinion, their sports writers have a better reputation than ESPN's. So, anyway, media rant over. So let's get into the NFL Combine stuff. So, this year's Combine was full of freaks. This might be the fastest Combine this is the fastest Combine we've ever witnessed. We had 9 receivers run under 4.4. That's the most ever. Well, as far back as we have, like, complete and confirmed, like, records, which I think is 2003. And the fastest before this would have been... And now, I haven't looked at the full average times for every position this year. I haven't done that math. I haven't seen that math floating around yet, but we're just going by, like, if we're looking at the top. I think, or the record before was 2007, there were 8 players at the receiver position. This year it was 9 at the receiver position. We had 6 running backs, I think, run sub 4.4, and they were all between at 4.37 and 4.39, including 3 of my favorite running backs in the draft: Breece Hall of Iowa State at 4.39, Ty Chandler of North Carolina and formerly Tennessee at a 4.38, and then Pierre Strong Jr. out of South Dakota State at a 4.37. I think the other 4.37 time was Isaiah Pashaw. I think it's Pachoe out of Maryland. So, fast running back group, because honestly, it's felt like the running back position has been kind of slow. Another guy who ran a really great 40 time, low 4.4s, was James Cook out of Georgia, which wasn't a shock. I thought he would compete to be one of the fastest running backs. Might have been 4.4 flat, but I think it was a 4.42. And he had arguably the best hands out of anybody at the running back position. Like, my goodness. You know, I know the Titans drafted Darrington Evans a couple years ago, but that guy can't stay healthy. I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. Can't stay healthy. I would love for us to get our hands on James Cook as a change of pace for Henry. Because he can absolutely work as a running back in our system, like running the ball. But his third down ability as a pass protector and pass catcher, give it to me, please. Sorry, mouth is getting dry. Hello, cat. So, let's see, running or wide receiver, running back, quarterback, Desmond Ridder, 4.52. It was originally, like, the unofficial was a 4.49, officially 4.52. Great time for him. And it just goes to show the athleticism at the position. Sam Howell had a really good time for a quarterback. Of course, we have Malik Willis in this class, and Willis can fly. I don't have, like, the combine numbers pulled up in front of me, but because I'd be having to pick through, like, a bunch of prospects, and I just don't feel like doing that right now. Like, I mean, I have looked at a bunch of these numbers, obviously. The defensive line group is the fastest ever, basically. I'm going to start with the edge, and then we'll get to the crazy interior line times at the top. So, on the edge, you had Aiden Hutchinson runs a 4.74, which, you know, it's 6'6", 265, 270, whatever it was. That's a really nice time. Lines up with the Bosas, and with his skill level. Like, that's great. But he just got, but there are just tons of other athletes. And I'm just going to go down my rankings. So we've got Travon Walker runs a 4.51 at 6'5", 272 with 35.5-inch arms. I think he had a 35.5 or 36.5-inch vertical, which is nuts at that size. He had a 10'3" broad jump, which, once again, incredible. I think it was one of the best at the position. I know it was the best of anybody at that weight or higher. Should I say it was tied? And we'll get to the guy he tied with at 270 or higher in a minute. So Walker has a day. And to be honest right now, Travon Walker, easy edge rusher 2 for me now. He's definitely edge 2. I'm not worried about the production because of what he was asked to do at Georgia. He was asked to wear a lot of hats, and he was not turned loose off the edge. Actually, he dropped back into coverage a decent amount. That's how athletic he is and how much the staff, loved him. I believe his 3-cone was also a 6.89, if I'm remembering correctly, which that's elite. Elite for an edge rusher. And for a guy that size, and the dude's stronger than... I need to remember what the bench press reps were at, but when you adjust for, his arm length, great bench press. This guy, he can beat tackles however he needs to. If you're a weaker tackle or you're more of a finesse tackle, he will wreck you with speed to power. He will wreck you with his strength. If you've got short arms, he will long arm you. If you're not the quickest of feet, he will get you with speed and quickness. If you've got great power, he'll be able to beat you with finesse. He has the tools to be shaped. And if he wasn't coachable, he wouldn't be playing for Georgia. And he wouldn't have been as versatile and been able to play all over the place like he did. He really... And to be honest, with the tools, he's arguably pushing edge 1 for me right now. I've still got Hutchinson at 1 because he's so polished. I believe the floor for him is extremely high because I've seen his prospect type before. And I think... And his ceiling is really high still. This guy, just to me, it's this is guys like the Bosa brothers. It's not an exact 1-to-1 comp. There's differences between Nick and Joey, and there's differences between Aiden and the Bosas. But he's going to be great. He's a double-digit sack guy. I wouldn't be shocked if he comes into the league. I would be shocked if he didn't end up with at least 7 sacks year 1. And it wouldn't shock me if he ended up with double digits. If anything, he kind of reminds me of a mixture of Max Crosby and the Bosas. So, if that says anything. And I think he's bigger than all of those guys. By a little bit. So, Trayvon Walker went through him. My third edge rusher, by the way, Kevon Thibodeau, I don't even know where to rank him right now. Because I'm not a huge fan of... I'm not a massive fan of him. He's got the tools, and we'll get to his tools here in a second. But I don't know about his mentality. I don't love that interview he did with Fox Sports with Joe Klatt. Not a huge fan of it. I'm not sure how great a teammate he's going to be because of that. Because I have a feeling... because that's not going to gratiate him to a large number of NFL players. Those comments, and a lot of his peers in this draft class. So, that being said, if my number 3 is Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State, who previously played at Georgia, was on the crazy 2020 Georgia front. I'm just going to, and I'll go through here in a minute, the 2020 Georgia defense. Just the names that played snaps on it. Because it's ridiculous. I mean, this year's defense is ridiculous, but if you go back to 2022 or 2020, it's kind of crazy. So, Jermaine Johnson ran a 4.59 in the 40, I believe it was. Or wait, you know what? Maybe I should bring these numbers up. So I've got a bit of a headache at the moment, and let's go to NFL.com. I'll switch over. Let me switch the viewer over. I'm sorry. Nope. That's what I wanted. Okay, so let's. Oh, what the heck? I don't know what this stuff is up here. Yeah, that'll help things later. Okay. Let me. Sorry, now that I've got, or my head's hurting, this is gonna make this process a lot slower for y'all. I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember where I go to find. Oh, it was right there. I'm looking for times, basically. Let's see. Can I get... Let's see. I'm going to go... Oh, so this has the events. I'd rather just get the prospects list. You know what? Let's go to top performers. Maybe that'll work better. Well, see, this is the problem. They got DN and linebacker. And I don't know who's going to be at what. I don't want all time. I want just this year. So 2022. Okay. So this is going to get kind of spoil some of the guys I was going to talk about here. Oh, that might help. Okay. So let's just go down the 40s, and then I'll get into some of the other stats I know. So Amari Barno is going to be rising up boards. I was about to say shocking for some reason, shooting. He ran a 4.36 for. And if you remember what I said about the running backs a little while ago, I said no running back ran faster than a 4.37. He's faster than all the running backs. He's faster than all but 6 of the receivers in this class. Sam Williams of Mississippi ran a blazing 4.46. Williams, I felt like Williams has been really underrated in this process. He was great at the Shrine Bowl. Then he got invited to the Senior Bowl upon conclusion of the Shrine Bowl. Looked good there too. Williams is a really great prospect. Then you got Trevon Walker, who I just mentioned, 4.51. I mean, a 4.51. I might be able to use this to just kind of click on dudes. So, yeah, so here's Jermaine Johnson. Jermaine Johnson, yeah, he ran a 4.58, even with Thibodeau. So I'm going to hit Johnson, and this will give us everything. Johnson's vert wasn't crazy, but 32 inches for 6'5", 254 is nothing to, scoff at. That's nice. 34-inch arms is really good length. That's in that borderline outstanding length for a edge rusher. 10-inch hands. 120. So he had a 10.5 broad jump, which is really good. Actually, that 10.5 broad jump, and I care a little more about the broad jump than the vert for for pass rushers, but vert's really good for explosion as well. He didn't run the 3-cone 20-yard shuttle or 60-yard shuttles. I would have loved to see that 3-cone time. We'll see what we get from his pro day. He didn't run the bench press. Now, here was a weird thing that they did this year at the combine, or that they've done the last few years. I have a feeling some of the reason guys don't run certain events is because they put some events before and some after, like the on-field drills, and I think that's stupid. Because a lot of the running backs didn't run the shuttle or the 3-cone drill. Let's see. Is there any other information down here? But Johnson, his tape is, if I'm going just on a tape grade of the pass rushers in this draft, Aiden Hutchinson and Jermaine Johnson are my top, would easily be my top 2 guys based on their tape. Johnson has all of the moves. I think he's a top 10 guy, personally. Let's see. Let's hope that I didn't lose everything in doing that. I did not. I think I'm going to do things a little differently here. So, I had Walker number 2. Let's look at Walker real quick. Since I did run down a bunch of it. Like I said, 35.5-inch arms, 10 3/4 inch size hands. So I was right. 35.5 vertical, 10.3 broad, 6.89 3-cone, and a 4.32 short shuttle is pretty freaking good. That's pretty dang good. So he didn't run the bench. Maybe I'm thinking, I might be thinking of his teammate Quay in the bench. So now here's another thing to say. Like, guys like Walker who have really long arms, that can hurt you in the bench press. Walker has just all the tools. Johnson has all the tools to be special. I would have liked to see Johnson's 3-cone, but if we're going to 4, right now I'm gonna tentatively have Thibodeau at 4. There's a lot of guys I have kind of in a similar range. Myself. So he was 6'4", 254, 33 1/8 inch arms, which aren't bad. If you're over 33 inch arms, you're really good for pass rusher. Or you're good. So now he did have an impressive 27 bench press reps. That's great strength. But look, other than bench press in the 40, he did nothing else. And maybe his thigh or calf was hurting him, decided didn't do the jumps or any of the 3-cones, but in his tape he shows really good bend, so I wouldn't be shocked if his 3-cone time was really good. But 3-cone is a thing that I really look for defensive or for pass rushers. I really do, and I like seeing the jump scores. A 4.58 40 though shows a lot of explosion. I also wish they listed the 10-yard split as part of this as well. Are these still unofficial? Huh, have they not posted? I mean, these are the officials numbers that I've been seeing that they've confirmed, so that's weird that it's listed as unofficial here. So we might come back later on and they'll have the officials or whatever. But 4.58 in the 40, like, that's great. I mean, a guy who's like 6'4", 250 running that fast, like, that's impressive. But once again, there's all these blanks here, and it still makes me wonder a little bit about his competitiveness. But, what does he care what I think? From there, We've got David Ajabo. Once again, I've got so many of these guys really close. Like him, Boye Mafe, Thibodeau, Jermaine. I've got really close. So Ajabo, 6'4", 250, 33.5-inch arms, 9-inch hands. Hands are a little smaller than I would have expected. He also had a great thing. He didn't do the 3-cone, and it makes me. And his 20-yard shuttle. There's an offensive lineman, by the way, whose shuttle time is kind of terrifying because of his size. And it's faster than Ajabo, believe it or not. But a 4.45 20-yard shuttle, that's good. 4.55 in the 40, great time. 35-inch vert, 10-foot 2-inch broad jump, like nothing to scoff at there. Like those are great numbers. This draft is, this class is just freaky. This is a great edge rushing class. We've got top end guys. To be fair though, last year Odafe Owe, from a trait standpoint, the fact that he got to 31 is ridiculous. Joe Tryon going 32. He should have, those two guys should have been higher. Jalen Phillips was my top guy. I believed he had top 5, top 10 traits, and he had great production, but he had injury red flags. We'll see how he continues to develop after going 18th last year. But this group's as good as any, physically speaking, and a lot of these guys do have production. Hutchinson has great production. Johnson has great production, or has production. Ajabo had really, really good production this year, as raw as he is. Maffei's got amazing tools. He's experienced. I think his tools and his tape are better than the production numbers. Thibodeau has had stretches of great production. I'm just kind of going down through here real quick. Hutchinson, like I said, had awesome production this year. Kingsley Ingabare is a great potential guy, in my opinion, although his 40 was slower than I expected, to be honest. Much slower than I expected. So, but we'll get to that. Let's look at Barno's numbers real quick. He's not as high as some of these other guys, but the traits here are ridiculous. We're talking about a guy who's 6'5", 246. Some people say he's a little undersized. I'm like, if he's undersized at 6'5", 246, that's not that far off from Kevon Thibodeau, who's 6'4", and I think 6'4 and a half, 254, or Ojabo, who's 6'4", 250. I don't look at Barno, although he's a little more linearly built, maybe. 9-inch hands, 34-inch arms. It's great arm length. This guy had a 37-inch vert. He had a 10-foot, 11-inch broad jump, which is just stupid. 4.45 20-yard shuttle. Once again, didn't do the 3-cone, but a 4.36 40. This guy is going to blast off the edge as a speed rusher. See, this is his 40 down here, and that's just blazing. Hopefully my stream is still up now that I think about it. Well, I'm on their page, so I should be good. Sorry, I'm having to check my phone for something. Okay, cool. Anyway, Barno's a freak, and you want to talk about one of the risers of the draft. A lot of people had this guy late 3rd. Some people had him early day 3. I think this guy might have just guaranteed himself a 2nd-round selection. Dude, I just love... I love those workout numbers. Like, because the thing is, there's something to mold here. And he's a competitive player. This guy was not, like, it's not like this guy was just nobody or, like, just meh in college. Let's look at Sam Williams. This is another guy who, to me, coming into things, this was my most underrated guy at this position. 6'4", 260. And I watched this guy a decent amount the last few years. 33 and an 1/8 inch arms. You know, that's a solid measurement there. And that matters because for pass rush moves, if the lineman gets his hands to your chest, usually it's over. It's the same thing with like offensive linemen. Whoever wins like the hand battle, like that's the idea with these long arm techniques, or I guess it'd be easier this way. These longer rushers, especially with speed, they'll get outside and they'll get their arm into the chest of the lineman. If they get their hand on the chest, they can use his body as a leverage point and dip down and keep speed, but also get underneath the arms of the tackle, or and kind of use them to pivot around him and blast around him to the quarterback. And it keeps the lineman from being able to because part of this also, you're getting skinny to the lineman, you're perpendicular to his body, and it's hard for him to get his hands on there without like having to grab at you and hold. So that's where arm length comes in. But Williams, this is the thing, 6'4", 260. Like, this guy's over 260, 4.46. Like, this is just freaky stuff. 32.5-inch vert. Really good number. That 10-foot, 3-inch broad jump is a awesome number. That is a great number. It's not Barno, but my goodness, from an explosion standpoint. But once again, no 3-cone, no 20-yard shuttle. I really think scouts need to talk about the ordering of drills. Because, and some guys choose not to perform in drills. Some guys, especially some of these faster guys, might be worried that they're going to be a little stiff. Because that 3-cone number is a number that has gotten really important. And it's important for running backs, too. And like I said, almost all the running backs, from what I understand, opted out of the 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle because it was at the very end of the workout and they were tired. So you're not going to get your best numbers. And now we get to Mafe. This is another guy who I thought, compared to where I thought he was, people were too low on. This guy measures in... So he's a longer Sam Williams from a height-weight standpoint, 6'4", 261, but with 32 and 5/8 inch arms. Oh, wait, no, he's shorter arms. My bad. That's not... If he was offensive tackle, that'd be kind of rough. But 32 and 5/8, that's fine. Got to keep my positions in the correct order. 4.53, 40, that's great. Another guy who didn't do bench. 38-inch vertical, 10'5" broad jump. That vertical right there is stupid. That's stupid. Again, no 3-cone, no 20-yard shuttle. But I'll tell you what, Mafe's another guy. This guy's got one of the highest motors of anyone in this class as a pass rusher. He was awesome at the Senior Bowl. He and Jermaine Johnson both were borderline unblockable and unstoppable at the Senior Bowl. Like, Jermaine Johnson had the most impressive Senior Bowl. Boye Mafe was right behind him. And I don't know. There's so many toolsy guys in this class, like along the defensive line, and especially at edge. Nick Bonito, another guy who earned himself some money, is Nick Bonito. 6'3", 248. He's more of a and some of these guys are more 3-4 outside linebackers and defensive ends. They're using defensive end as edge here. I see Bonito definitely as a stand-up guy, like a stand-up pass rusher. 32.5-inch arms for a lot of these guys, a little on the shorter arm length side, but at 6'3", that's a good number. 4.54, 35.5-inch vert, 10-inch broad jump, 7.073 cone. That's not bad. It's not elite, but that's usable. In a 4.23-inch 40-yard shuttle, or 20-yard shuttle, love that. That's a good number. Also, I like the competitiveness here. You're seeing more times listed. And, some guys do, like, they're running the 40 or they're doing the vert and, like, they tweak something. They're like, I don't feel comfortable. I know I'm not going to put up a great number on this. I'd rather people go to my tape than have this bad number looking in their head or worry about injuring myself severely. I'll leave it for my pro day. Because we'll also have pro day. And I think they usually will put up pro day numbers on here as well. But, all of these guys that I'm looking at right here, easily top 100 prospects. This one's concerning, though. So we're going to get into MyJ. There's a couple other guys I want to get to. But this is one of the guys who lost at the Combine. So he's 6'5". At the Senior Bowl, he was like 242, I believe. That was a month ago. Now he's 228. He was listed during the season at like over 250. I think at like 258. But I know at least 250. So in 2 months, since January, he's allegedly lost 22 pounds, maybe 30 pounds. And here's another crazy thing. At the Senior Bowl, he was like 6'4", and I think it was like 6'4" and 3/8. And at the Combine, he came in at like 6'5" and 1/8 or something like that, or 6'5" and 1/4. He grew like an inch apparently in a month. So I don't know what happened there. Ran a 4.67 40, which that's not a bad time. That's actually pretty good. But if you're 228, 33-inch vert, it's not bad. A 10-foot broad's really good. 4.37 20-yard shuttle. But his first 40, I think, was slower than a 4.67. But it's concerning, like, the weight loss. And his body didn't look, I don't know if he's unhealthy right now, if something's up. But he didn't look very good, or he looked he didn't look 100% in on-field work. There's a lot of people who are kind of worried right now. I'm going to actually get down into this, I'm going to close this just in case. Let's see, overview, I'm going to see if they put anything, so they didn't mention anything about, let's see. See, and I guess that's the thing. There's been a thing for him about adding weight and keeping it on even before this. I don't think, a lot of people didn't believe the height weight, and a lot of the height weight stuff at college, especially heights, is inaccurate. But if he's lost 14 pounds in a month, which that can be done, but if you're trying to keep weight on and you can't, I'd honestly be curious to see what else he could do on a football field. Can he translate some of his athleticism to, like, maybe being a tight end? But that'd even be small for a tight end. So that's a worry. But he gets into an NFL strength and conditioning program. They might be able to do more with him. But I would say that, unfortunately, MyJ is one of the losers of the Combine. A lot of people had him at the top of the second round. I don't know if he stays there. And then here's one of my favorite kind of guys who was like a day 3 prospect, Jeffrey Gunter. 6'4", 258 out of Coastal Carolina. Comes in 33-inch arms. Really nice prospect. 4.740 is solid. 35.5-inch vert. 10.2 broad jump. 3 cones a little. 7.2 is not amazing. Doesn't mean he can't be good, but I think it takes him out of like... That's definitely not... That's not a great time. Like, that's, kind of an average time. But it's harder to show that right now. Maybe I can go and kind of look at some of the past, combine stuff and show kind of where that is. 4.345, like 20-yard shuttle. Nice time there. But this guy's one of your better, like, day 3 guys. I'd say he's probably still going to be day 3. He might sneak into he might end up at the end of round 3, but I'd say that's a round 4 guy right there. And here's another guy, I think flying under a decent amount of teams' radar is Isaiah Thomas out of Oklahoma. 6'5", 266, 33.25-inch arms, over 10-inch hands, great hand size. 4.740, 31.5-inch vert. That's a 9-foot, 9-inch broad jump. Not bad. So some decent explosion. Another day 3 guy. Sorry, I'm kind of... But, I mean, these speed numbers are really, really good for this position group. Dominic Robinson of Miami, Ohio. He's a guy who's been kind of getting a little buzz lately. Josh Pashaw. I want to talk about Pashaw real quick because he's a strong athlete. He's kind of a shorter, wider built guy. 6'3", 268, 32 3/4 arms. 4.7740 at 270 is really nice. Although we'll see in a minute that the interior line has some freaky guys. What's crazy about Pashaw? So 4.77 top end speed isn't as much as some of these other guys. His get off and his initial quickness is up there with anyone. 37.5-inch vertical, 10-foot 3-inch broad jump, great times. He's definitely a day 2 guy. And here's another guy I've been hearing a lot about. Another one of these shorter, kind of wider guys. Tagovailoa Amosa out of Notre Dame. 6'2", 270, 32 5/8" arms. 4'8", 140, fine. 29-inch vert. That's a 9.7 broad jump. Right? So I'm trying to go backwards off of... Because 120 is 12. So, yeah, 9.7. These are pretty good numbers for a guy who I don't see with, like, massive pass rush upside. He's definitely more of, like, a run defender type. But to see him, like, up here, like, top... What was that? In the top 15, running the 40 or so, that's pretty good. I will say, for... there's a couple guys here that are listed as DNs that I see as more interior guys, like Zach Carter, Logan Hall. Those numbers are actually pretty decent. I'm gonna show y'all their weights. This is a big red flag. Now, Ngbare wouldn't be the first like edge guy to post like a slow 40 compared to what you expected, but you look at his height weight compared to some of these other guys we've been looking at. Similar, 6'4", 258. Really long arms and big hands. That's great. The explosion number is really good. 36.5-inch vert, a 9'9" broad jump. That's really good. 4.8, 740 is kind of eh. And if you saw that down there just now, he got a really good start. Yeah, there's a slip. Start-stop's not bad, though. For a guy like... You could see he's thick built. This guy could probably put on weight. And I think is going to be something that he's going to be doing. 4.87 is not a great 40, but his get-off looked fine. I think it's just top-end speed there. And he might not have really pushed it at the end. He might be one of those guys that's like, I'm more worried about my 10-yard split. And that's fine. So let's look at Hall here. Because Hall's a big guy. Yeah, 6'6", 283. This guy's going to put on weight. He's going to be an interior pass rusher. 32 3/4-inch arms, which is good for an interior rusher. But I want you to look at that. Basically the same 40 as Ngbare. And he's got 25 pounds on him. 30-inch vert for an interior rusher. That's, solid. Didn't do the broad. 7.253 cone at that's actually pretty, that height, pretty good. Really nice shuttle. He had a faster 20-yard shuttle than some guys who were smaller than him at a 4.44. And I think that should say something about Bonito, or was it Bonito? No. Who had the 7.21 a second ago? Sorry if this is getting a little boring. I love this edge rusher class, and this stuff's important. I think it was Gunter. Yeah. Who had the 7.21. Let's check out Robinson here. 4.72. And now, so Robinson did the bench. 6'5", 253 with 33 1/4 arms. Like the length. 25 bench press. That's nice. Holy crud, he had a 41-inch vert? 4.72, 41, 10'1" broad jump. Dude, 41-inch verticals at over 250 is... My God, that's dumb. That is just dumb. That guy in the pre-draft process, that guy's made money. Even with those numbers, I'm going to say you're looking at a fourth-round guy there. He's got tools to outplay that draft stock. And then let's look at Carter here. 6'4", 282, yeah. He's more of an interior type player, like 3-4 end. 4.99, at that size, that's not amazing. I mean, it's fine. 19 bench press reps. A 9.2 broad jump's not bad. That vert's kind of whatever. I mean, it's not like a red flag or anything, but necessarily. Carter, I know there's been some buzz about Carter from some people. His tape's fine, but that's a day 3 guy. I think Hall probably is a round 3 guy. I've had seen a lot of people in round 2. I'm going to say he ends up round 3, but I might be wrong. Let's look at the linebackers to see if there's any more, any of the edge guys ended up at listed linebackers to the end here. Because this linebacker class is really fast. I'm just looking through some names real quick. Most of these guys look like off-ball type guys. So yeah, we'll get back. So they put most of the edge guys. Together. And these are just the top, because I think there were some guys, like, these aren't all the guys per position. So there's a couple names I didn't see so far. And they might have some guys listed in here. So let's get to the interior linemen, because this is freaky. So your top 2 guys, 4.77 and 4.78. Devontae Wyatt, who's a guy I've been really high on. I've had him in my top 20, while a lot of people had him barely first round or in their early to mid second round. 6'3", 304, 32 5/8" arms, which is really good for an interior guy. 4.77 40 at over 300 pounds. I think there's only 2 guys ever to run that. Actually, I know a quick way to do that. Well, the 29-inch vert at 304 pounds, that's good. The 9-foot, 3-inch broad jump, that's good. Let's see. I'm going to go, let's throw all, because there will be guys who are under 300, and I should remember who those guys are. Well, that's, can I get, there we go. Let's go all. So, of course, you've got Aaron Donald, 4'6'8". You've got Davis, 4'7'5". So this is defensive tackle since what should be 2003, I believe. And it's crazy to me to think that Earl Mitchell, who spent his entire career as pretty much a nose tackle, ran a 4'8", 140. Although he put on weight during his career. You'll see that a lot of these guys are, for the most part, are pretty recent type players. Fletcher Cox ran a 4'7'9". So, like, if you're looking at, his peer group here, I mean, Aaron Donald just stupid, ran a 4'6'8". What was his height weight at the combine? Yeah, so 285. Like, he was under 300 pounds. Like, what? That was not his final grade by them. That doesn't even make sense. But I mean, this was Aaron Donald's workout in 2013 or 2014. 2014. Like, what? Like, look at these numbers. Some of the guys I was showing you who are like 40 pounds lighter, 30 pounds lighter. He's got 3-cone drills, and he's shorter and heavier, so he's thicker built. Putting up better 20-yard shuttles than a lot of the linebackers we saw. Or, I mean, edge guys. A 9-foot, 8-inch broad jump. 32-inch vert. 35 bench press reps. And a 4.68 40. Like, Donald's a freak. But he was under 300 pounds. I'm looking for guys over 300. Khalil Davis was at he was 6'1", 308, so a little shorter, not as long as Wyatt, a little thicker built. All he did was the 40 in the bench. 4.75, 32. I mean, and then you've got Fletcher Cox here, who came in at 6'4", 298, so just under 300 pounds. And see, so this is another thing, like, the way they grade has changed on the site in years past, from like a out of 100 grade to the kind of scouting, like the 8-point scale grade. So, anyway, Wyatt, that was all to show, like, Wyatt's a freak, as is Jordan Davis, who we're going to get to. Once again, among defensive tackles in the past, like, 2 decades, there are only 6 guys to get under 4.81, and only Gallimore, Davis, Wyatt, and Khalil Davis did it at over 300, because I'm pretty sure Gallimore was also over 300. Take a minute. Sorry, I really get into the numbers. So Wyatt had a really good workout. Jordan Davis this is insane. Now, part of it is he played at 360 or more this season. He's cut down to 341. If he can stay there, or if he can just be as explosive guy, even if he puts a little bit of that weight back on. 6'6", 341, 34-inch arms. That's amazing length inside. Big hands. 4.78. He didn't do the bench, but a 32-inch vert that was better than Wyatt, who was 40 pounds lighter. He jumped a foot more in the broad jump than Wyatt did at 40 plus pounds, or 40, nearly 40 plus or extra pounds on him. Like, Davis is a freak. The issue is he, a two-down guy? Is he like a 25 snap a game defensive player? Is he only going to play like half your defensive snaps? Which actually is probably more of like a 30 snap a game guy. And that depends like on scenarios. If a team's passing a lot, I think he can be. I think he gets in the NFL. And the Georgia's strength and conditioning program is pretty much NFL caliber. But depending on where he goes and what they ask him to do, this guy has the ability. He has the ability to be Vita Vea, and he's got better tools than Vita Vea did. And Vita Vea went top 15. Like, I think he was like the 13th pick or something like that the year he was drafted. So Davis has that talent. Perry and Winfrey is another just kind of freaky guy, because you're looking at a 6'4", 290-pound guy with 35 and a quarter-inch arms, really long. All he did was the 40, 4.89. I wish we could have seen more than that, but a 4.89 40 at 290 is really, really good. And this guy looked really good at the Senior Bowl, throwing people around. I'm really surprised by the lack of bench press numbers from this class, though. This guy, if Barno didn't make the most money, this guy did. Or some of the guys that moved up in the first round. And this guy, if anything, has the ability to hurt Jordan Davis's draft stock. Because people have been talking about this since before the combine. Jones is really athletic at 6'4", 325. He played nose at UConn. This guy, UConn sucked, but this guy was awesome. This guy could have started anywhere. There are players in this draft class that if this guy was on their team, they wouldn't have started ahead of. He manhandled Clemson's offensive line this year. And he's athletic, and he's got 34 and a quarter inch arms, over 10-inch hands. He's got long arms, heavy hands, and he's meaner than crap. So a 4.92 at that size, I mean, look at this. Look at that guy run. I mean, it's just stupid. It's really stupid to see a guy move like that. And you're looking at a 9'2" broad jump, a 28.5-inch vert, a 7.333 cone is nothing to scoff at. A 4.58 20-yard shuttle at 325. Like, the guy can move. He can get it. And this is going to make teams like the Chargers or the Raiders, like teams that might be looking at an interior defensive lineman, go, who can help their run defense, go, well, yeah, we could get Davis here, or we could draft, say, Trevor Penning falls that far. Not that he will. Trevor Penning falls to 7 or ends up at 17. Like, well, maybe we just draft Trevor Penning, and then we try and get like Travis Jones in the second round. I mean, this guy is a freak too. Thomas Booker. Now, this is a guy, and this is one of the smartest defensive players in the draft. And it's not just because he's from Stanford, but this guy, I'm trying to remember what it was like an economics major and I think a political science minor. This guy would have been going to Stanford even if he wasn't a football player. Like, this guy's grades were incredible. 6'3", 301, 33-inch arms, big old 10 or 10 5/8 inch hands. A 4.9 440, really good numbers. 9.2 broad jump, 7.33 3 cone, a 4.41 40-yard shuttle, and 300 pounds. Some of these edge guys need to figure out what Thomas Booker's doing that they're not. Because if they were doing what he was doing, they'd be at like sub 4.3 in the shuttle. Dude, that's dumb. Some people have this guy in the day 3 range. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on day 3. I think Booker could go round 3. I mean, he understands like this guy studies football like a quarterback. I mean, this guy really cares about film study. He did an interview with Bootleg Football, which I believe is on the Bootleg Football Clips channel. They put a brief snippet of it before their Shrine Bowl recap, or if it wasn't the Shrine Bowl recap, it was one of their day recaps at the Shrine Bowl. They love him. His interview was so good. You want to talk about a guy who I think has a really high floor as just being a solid starter, it's Thomas Booker. And then right below him, another one of my favorite guys. Of course, I'm biased. Tennessee boy Matthew Butler, which my Tennessee guys actually kind of showed out at the Combine. 6'4", 297, 33.5-inch arms. 5 flat in the 40, really nice. 17 bench press reps, kind of like to see more, but he's got functional strength, and he's more of a quick guy. A 32-inch vertical is stupid to me. A 9.4 broad jump. That 3 cone's not incredible, but he's more of a quick first step. I'm going to use my hands. I'm moving forward kind of guy. 4.81 20-yard shuttle. That's more what you'd expect from an interior guy. But Butler reminds me a lot, and I don't think his testing numbers are exactly the same as Geno Atkins, but on tape, he reminds me of Geno Atkins out of Georgia. If Butler doesn't, I think Butler is solidly going to go no later than the 4th round. If you want to talk about a guy who's probably lost some money, you're looking at DeMarvin Leal. I have for a long time believed he was a defensive tackle. He's an interior guy. Or he's a 5 technique, 3-4 defensive end, but he's an interior guy. He's not really an edge guy, unless you just want a really good run stuffer at one of your edge positions. Like maybe if you're playing kind of like a system that runs a spur, you're almost like a 5-man front, but it's kind of like a hybrid of a 4-3 and a 3-4. But kind of like what the Seahawks used to do. But he's not Michael Bennett, is the way I'd put it. I mean, 6'4", 283, he's got decent size, but I can't remember Michael Bennett's 40 off the top of my head, but his explosions, sub 9 foot broad jump. I mean, that's not terrible or anything. 27.5-inch vert. What is encouraging, that 20-yard shuttle at 4.49, his lateral quickness is good. But this guy spent the entire year, for the most part, as a top 10, top 15 prospect. And I don't know if I'd even take him in the 2nd round. He's got some solid tape, but he's not the athlete that I think a lot of people thought he was. Then you got some other guys down here, some solid, mid-round guys like Garrett and Hinton, who I have in the 4th round. This is a guy I'm more interested in, actually, out of A&M, because I think he has a better potential of outstripping his value as Peavy. 6'5", 308, big 35-inch arms, long, really long arms. Yeah, he ran like a 5.3 in the 40, but he's a big guy. I think he's going to put on more weight. He was an interior disruptor at A&M. I'm not looking for this guy to be like ridiculously fast or anything, but you're talking like a day 3 guy who I think could, who's probably, I figured he was going to go like round 5 or so, who could outplay his draft stock. That's your guy. And then you've got like just big nose tackle types, like, which PV's kind of like in that. Here's Ridgeway from Arkansas. I didn't expect insane testing numbers, but the guy's 6'5", 320. A 4.73 20-yard shuttle is really good at that size. Ridgeway's tape's solid. I had him early day 3. Like, he's going to stuff the run in the inside. And then you got the 2 just other big bodies other than Jordan Davis. So you got Neil Farrell. I said Kentucky to somebody the other day, but he's from LSU. I don't know why I thought he was from Kentucky. I'm confusing him with guy who got drafted last year out of Kentucky who I really like, big body guy. I can't remember his name right now. But 6'4", 330. Kind of shorter arms, but 32.25 inch arms on the inside's not bad. 4.51, like 8.41, 3. I mean, like 21.5 inch vert. But I mean, you compare this guy. This guy came in now at the Senior Bowl and during the season. I want to say at the Senior Bowl, like he was like 346, I thought. But maybe I'm just. And the original 40 time I saw for him was 5.46, so he's a 5.41 at 330. That guy is 11 pounds lighter than Davis. And he's like 0.6 of a second slower. And his vertical jump is 11.5 inches less. Or 10.5 inches less. So let that sink in. And then here's Noah Ellis, who I think is another one of the more underrated guys in this class. I think he's going to be a day 3 guy. His dad was a NFL nose tackle for years, was his D-line coach. He transferred to Idaho, I think, after his first year in college to play under his dad. But 6'4", 346, 32.25 inch arms, over 10 inch hands. Didn't do anything but run the 40, which is probably a good thing. Yeah, he ran a 5.66 40. I'm not worried about that. This guy's a mauling nose tackle with immense strength. But just a freaky class. Like some big boys, some fast boys, some big and fast boys. This linebacker class is also fast. Troy Anderson, a 4.42 at, I think it was like 6'4", 6'3.5", 243. 32-inch arms, 36-inch vert, 10.8 broad. Like this guy, super athletic. This guy had great tape too out of Montana State. Don't let the small school stuff fool you there. I wouldn't be shocked if he snuck in around 2. Like, I think he's a day 1 starter. Charles Harris backed up all the talk for years about him. Athletically speaking, you're talking about 6'1.5", 226. He's a little smaller than I thought. Over 32-inch arms. 4.44 in the 40, 34.5 inch vert. A crazy. That's just a crazy, like, 11-foot broad jump. Harris can move. I've had him in the second round range. I think he's going to stay there. Another guy who made one of the big money makers, Channing Tindall, who just, unfortunately, he's been behind so many linebackers this whole time at Georgia. Behind Monty Rice, behind Nakobe Dean, behind Quay Walker. But he led Georgia in tackles this year. 6'2", 230, just under 33-inch arms, big hands, 4.47 40, 42-inch vertical. a 10-foot 9-inch broad jump. I wouldn't be surprised if he sneaks into the late second round. I don't think he's going outside of the top 100 picks at all. I think he's a lock to go by the end of the third round. Another guy who really showed out with his movement is I want to make sure I read that right. Malcolm Rodriguez out of Oklahoma State. This guy was a late day 3 prospect for most people, and he's undersized. He's 5'11", 232. The weight's not bad at that size. His length isn't great. Like, this guy's probably a passing down guy. He's gonna have to be great in coverage or prove that he can dodge blocks, because 30 and an 1/8 inch arms, that'd be close to being short for even a corner, let alone a linebacker. But 4.52 speed, a 39.5 inch vertical, a 10-foot broad jump. You know, this guy might be kind of like, teams might try and transition to almost like a box safety kind of like hybrid role. It'd be really interesting to see what he can do in that regards. Another guy that I really like in this class, Brandon Smith. Man, now I'm just naming off combine numbers at this point. Probably boring people to death. 4.52 from Smith, 37.5 inch vert, 10'8" broad. But he's doing it at 6'3.5", 250 with over 34.5 inch arms. This guy has all the measurables teams are looking for out of linebackers. Like, this guy brings everything to the table. This is another guy I'd be shocked. Like, I've had him in the second round range. I'd be shocked if he doesn't go by the end of the second round, because he's got great tape. He's an easy mover. Love his explosiveness. Quay Walker's another guy who there have been some people who've had him, like, I'm trying to remember if it was Zerline or Jeremiah from NFL.com, who have had him, like, in their first round, like, grade discussion. Like, one of them, I think, had him ranked, like, 25th at one point. 6'4", 241, 32 and 5/8 inch arms, 4.52, which is really good. I thought I'd seen, like, a 4.51 or 4.5 flat. Still, 32 inch vert, which is totally fine. The 10-2 broad jump's really nice. But Quay's got really great tape. He's an inside-outside guy. This guy can play off-ball linebacker. This guy can actually blitz off the edge. Like, he's versatile. I think, once again, I'd say he's a second-round lock. I feel like I'm using this for a lot of guys. Another guy I really love, I don't think he's going to go that high, although I'd argue his traits put him that high. 6'3", 250, Leo Chanel. 31 inch arms. Not the longest, but a lot of people are comparing him to Dante Hightower, his tape. This guy's more athletic than Hightower, which is saying something. 4.53. This guy, I think, played at 260 some this season. A 40.5 inch vert and 10'8" 8 inch broad jump. Like, this guy is extremely explosive. If you're looking for a Dante Hightower type or a bigger, stronger, faster Kyle Van Noy, like, Leo Chanel has New England written all over him. Demarco Jackson is another guy who everybody's just kind of had pegged as like an outside guy to watch. A lot of people have had him in the second round range the entire process. 6'1", 233, 32.5 inch arms, 4.55, solid jump numbers. You know, in certain years, this guy might have even been like a late first round pick. Now it's like, you know, day 2. Brian Amosa. This is another guy I've been hearing a lot about. Kind of a weak side linebacker type, 6 foot, 225, 32 and 5/8 inch arms, 4.56, 36.5, 10.4 in the broad jump. Gotta love those numbers. Like, this guy projects like as a pretty good like nickel defender, like nickel linebacker type. Probably an early day 3 guy. Let's see. Campbell ran a nice time out of Mississippi. That was another guy I had kind of early day 3 mix. Guy who's really been talked up big since the season ended. Had a really great Senior Bowl is Damone Clark. 6'2.5", 240, built like LSU loves their linebackers, 33-inch arms. And he's got good explosion, like 4.57, 36.5-inch vert, 10.7 broad jump, 7.12 3-cone drill. I love his tape. Some people believe he has as good a tape as any linebacker in this class at his best. Like his tape versus Alabama this year is some of the best tape. It's one of the best games any linebacker in this class has played this season. Talk about playing up to your competition. I'm looking for some other guys. There's a couple other guys I want to talk about. Chad Mumma, this is another guy. A lot of people have had him kind of in the third, like late third, early fourth range. I think he's too good for that. His tape's too good. 6'3", 240, just under 32-inch arms. 4.63 40, that's a really good time for the position. 27 bench press reps. Like, this guy did everything. You want to talk about competitor. 40-inch vertical, 10.9 broad jump, 7.06 3-cone drill. That'd be a good time for an edge rusher. 4.28 20-yard shuttle. This is first-round numbers, and he's got first-round tape. And you want to know why he's not in first-round consideration? Because he played at Wyoming because he's white. Like, I mean, that's a lot of it. Because a lot of people... Because one of the things I said was like, yeah, but Mumma's not going to be as athletic as some of these other guys. Like, he looks really good, but part of it's his competition. And then he runs a 4.63. He has a 40-inch vert. He has a 10.9 broad jump, 27 bench press reps. This guy, physically speaking, is maybe the best all-around linebacker physically, other than maybe Troy Anderson, Christian Harris, like Channing Tindall. Like, he's right there with those guys. He's not quite as fast. He didn't run the 4.4s, but everything else, he's as good or better. And I hate to say it's because, like, he's white and went to Wyoming, but I mean, like, that's why. Because there have been people like Todd McShay saying, like, this guy's a second-round guy. This guy's a second-round guy. You know. And a lot of people are like, yeah, but he, you know, it's Wyoming. And the last guy I really want to get to, and I'm going to move on. There's some other guys down through here who are good players, but Devin Lloyd kind of disappointed at the combine, like, because he's not huge, you know, in comparison to some of the other linebackers, but he did weigh in a little heavier than some people expected, which was good. 6'3", 237, 33-inch arms. But people were expecting like a great workout from him. And people were some people were saying like this guy's 40 is going to be ridiculous. Like people were expecting him to be Troy Anderson. Instead 4.66, which is better than what it was. Like 4.66 isn't terrible. 25-inch bench press, that's great. 35-inch vertical's not bad. 10.6 in the broad's not bad, but people were expecting like a little more of a freak athlete because he plays faster. But his mind's so good, this shouldn't knock him out of first-round consideration. If you love his tape as much as most of us love his tape, he just might not be a top 10 pick now, is the way I'd put it. Which I didn't think he was a top 10 guy because I didn't think he was going to run as fast as people thought he was. I still thought he was going to get in the mid 4.5s, though. And right now, I'd rather have Chad Mumma at where he's going to get drafted than Devin Lloyd. Because I don't think there's going to be that much difference between their careers. So if I can get a guy who's going to be as valuable or close to as valuable, you know, later in the draft, I'd rather get him if I can. And you've got like Nephi Sewell, Lloyd's teammate, solid linebacker. I think he's going to be one of the better day 3 selections. Jack Sanborn of Wisconsin, another kind of solid day 3 guy that I really like. This was a guy I was kind of expecting a little more from. Jesse Lucada, 6'3", 253, 32 and 5/8 inch arms. Like, he's got great tools. I expect him to run faster than a 4.89, to be honest. But the explosion's there, 37.5 inch vert. The broad jump was 9 foot 2 inches, like, or no, 9 foot 6 inches. Like, it's not crazy, but, you know, really good number. But that 40 is kind of slow, and I wonder if he, like, tweaked something or if he just didn't really work on, like, his get-off. Because I look at him as an edge-rushing linebacker more than an off-ball type. So, went through a bunch of guys there. The safety class is crazy. We'll get to them in a second. The corners. So we got Kalen Barnes. His tape is like, he's short, undersized. He's got great recovery speed. But to me, his tape is like 6-round tape. His tools are a little better because of the speed, but he's a day 3 guy. But he's got high upside because of that speed. Tariq Woolen has only played corner for 2 years. You're looking at a guy who I think is going to be able to play press. He's going to be able to, I think because of his ball skills and former wide receiver background, his ball skills are better than most corners. I mean, you're looking at a guy 6'4", 205, 33 and 5/8 inch arms. Those are great. Like, that's good arm length for an offensive tackle. It's borderline great arm length for a defensive end. For a corner, that's outstanding. So 4.26 in the 40. That's tied for, I think, like the 4th fastest or 5th fastest 40 all time. 6th fastest. Basically, he's one of the 10 fastest people in the history of the NFL Combine. 42-inch vertical. And he looked pretty smooth in drills too. Like, for 6'4", 205 corner, like, his movement skills are crazy. He's got top 10 tools. He's probably not going to go that high. I think he sneaks into the back of the first round probably by draft time because teams want those tools. He's probably a safer bet though. And if I was expecting him to go anywhere still at this stage, he's a top 50 guy. I'd say he goes like top 10 picks of the second round maybe. Top half of the second round. But it wouldn't shock me if he snuck into the first round with the tools. I mean, it's nuts. Another guy, now, this is kind of the opposite of Barnes. In that Sam McCollum has great length. Zavon. Not Zion, my bad. And I got to see him just up the road. Give me a second. This combine recap has gone so long. I should have split it into 2 days. Offense and defense. That's might be what I do tomorrow. I'll go over more of the offensive stuff. I talked a little bit about it, but we've been kind of going through the defense more in depth. We'll do the offense tomorrow. This guy at 6'2", 199, 30 and 3/4 inch arms are fine for a corner. Especially when you're that tall. You could probably get away with the arms not being quite as long. It's really once you get down to like 29 or like under 30 inches that some teams question. But 4.33 speed, a 39.5 inch vert, an 11-foot broad jump. His 3-cone was a 6.48, which is good, especially for a tall corner. A 3.94 inch, or I mean a 3.94 second 20-yard shuttle. And he's got the tape to match. Like, he was one of the best players at the FCS level. And he tackles. I wouldn't be shocked if this guy ends up round 3 now. At worst, I mean, this guy's tape, he's a day 2 guy. His tape and traits, he's a day 2 guy, in my opinion. Gonna say he probably goes early day 3. Alante Taylor, this kind of shocked me because I love my Tennessee guys. I had not expected, I thought Alante Taylor was quick. His workout was great. 6 foot, 199. A lot of people have him as a safety. I think this guy can play all over. He's physical, 32.25-inch arms, great length. I think you get him in the NFL, you get him on a really well-coached team. I think he can. I think he's got better football ahead of him. He had a good. It's like he had a good pre-draft process, including the combine. 4.36, 34.5-inch verdict, amazing. But with the arm length, I think that's okay, and I think he can jump better than that. I mean, the 10-foot 8-inch broad jump's really good. But Alante Taylor made himself some money because I thought he was kind of borderline, probably going to go early day 3. I think the speed, and the speed does play on tape. I think he probably locked himself in the 3rd round because of his versatility. I think this guy can play slot, he can play outside, and I think he can play safety. Because, like, he's a good tackler. Like, he's a willing tackler. This is another guy. So, I'm trying to remember how to pronounce his first name, but, oh yeah, sorry, I read that wrong. But Kobe Durant, out of South Carolina State, another one of the elite small school prospects. This guy is maybe the best pure slot corner in the draft. Not that he couldn't play outside, but 4.38 in the 40. I don't care that he didn't do anything else in testing. Just to show you how good this guy is. Yes, he played at the FCS level. This guy went up against Clemson, and he had 2 interceptions against Clemson. And this is where I hear a lot. I have some buddies who say, oh, but Derek Stingley, LSU was bad the last couple years. He was hurt. And I'm like, yeah. Well, and Stingley had that amazing 2019 season where he should have won the Thorpe Award. He should have been a consensus All-American and All-SEC guy. When this guy actually played for a team that should have been and was outmatched across the board by Clemson, he got 2 interceptions. He belonged on that field with the best in college football. So whoever gets Kobe Durant, I think is going to get a guy that they're going to be able to slide in to slot from the beginning. And he's going to start. And you play so much nickel at this point anyway that's a valuable position. And I mean, look at how fast this corner class is. Let's see, we've got 2 guys at sub 4.3. Like 2 guys who are of like the 6'10" fastest players of all time. You've got, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more guys under 4.4. That's 10 guys who ran sub 4.4 at defensive back. And some of these guys have great tools. Like Tariq Castro-Fields, the guy who's been kind of rising lately. People really like his tape. He looked good at the Senior Bowl. He's got really good size, 6'1", 197. But you're seeing like a lot of guys opting out of certain drills, and I think it's because of how they have the combine set up at this point. Cam Taylor-Britt of Nebraska, another guy I've heard a lot of talk about. He's thick. He's a little thicker built, 5'11", 196, but 31.5-inch arms, sub 4.4. I've not really heard people talk about Damari Mathis out of Pittsburgh a lot. But once again, the tools are there. Almost 32-inch arms at 5'11", 196, 4.39. Look at how many of these DBs didn't do anything but the 40, though. This is a more high-profile guy, Jalen Amar Davis, out of Alabama. 6'1", 197, 31-inch arms, 4.39, 14 reps on the bench is pretty good. 34.5-inch vert. You know, not incredible, but guy's a really good physical press corner. One of the big winners of the combine. This guy came in the season top 15 for a lot of people. Kerr Elam at 6'1.5", 191, 31-inch arms, runs a 4.39 40. Because and he's a physical press corner. I think Elam might have just put himself back into first round consideration, especially considering Kyler Gordon really disappointed some teams. Elam has some really good tape, especially in press coverage. He's got the recovery speed, and he's got good ball skills. Like, I think he can play in a lot of different schemes. And I think people let Florida struggling this year impact their feelings on Kerr Elam in a negative way. And they shouldn't have. We're going to get through this quick because I want to get through these safeties. I want to get out of here because I've been going for 2 hours now. Josh Thompson of Texas. This is another solid mid-round prospect. I mean, seriously, look at how many of these guys did nothing but run the 40. That's disappointing. I have a mid-round grade on Thompson. Good speed. I think he'd go anywhere from the end of the third, but I probably would expect him to go 4th, 5th round. Sauce Gardner. Some people are I think his first 40 was sub 4.5, or the unofficial was 4.55. He ends up with a 4.41. He didn't do anything else. I don't need him to. Gardner's got the best tape I would say, of any corner in the class, especially in press. 6'3", 190, 33.5-inch arms. Once again, that'd be great for an edge rusher. That'd be solid for an offensive tackle. But he's got it at corner. And then that speed. I mean, you're looking at... right there, I'd argue he's a borderline top 5 player in the class from a tools standpoint plus tape. Let's see. Trent McDuffie had a really solid workout. I think some people were worried maybe he was going to be a little slow. 29 and 3/4 inch arms, a little short, but this guy has great tape on the outside. I think he's a guy who could be a team's number 1 corner for sure. 4.44 speed. At worst, you're going to have a high-end number 2 corner out of McDuffie, and you need that. So, kind of looking at some other names that I recognize. Yeah, this is a guy I was looking for. So Missouri's Caleb Evans, 6'2", 197 with 32-inch arms, running a 4.46 40, 36-inch vert, 10'9" broad jump. This guy was a day 3 prospect. He was a day 3 prospect. Wouldn't be shocked just on tool standpoint if he snuck into the end of day 2. I think he solidified himself as probably a 4th round prospect because those numbers are just great. Another small school guy I really like, Sam Webb out of Missouri Western. Another tall, long corner, 6'2", 195. He did not get invited to the combine. Or did he? Wait, no, they just had him on the list. So his numbers aren't on his page. So I'm wondering if some of these numbers aren't... Because, see, they've got him as a 4.48 here. But they don't have anything here. So that was weird. I'm like, I guess they didn't have him at the combine because he didn't have any stuff. I'm like, wait, I just clicked on his number. So I don't know where this time comes from. And maybe they just haven't updated everybody because this guy's a lower round guy. He's long, he's fast, and out of the small school guys, he's got some of the best tape. Let's see. McCreary's a guy who I think some people have had in their first round talk. He's got really like, I like his tape a lot, but he's got under 29-inch arms, 5'11", 190, ran a 4.5 flat. A lot of people are going to just pencil him in as a slot guy. And that'd be fine. He'll be a great one. But that probably knocks him out of first-round talk. I'm looking for a couple other guys. Another guy I was looking at was Mario Goodrich to see what he did at the Combine. He's really skinny, 6 foot 176. 30 and 5/8 arms. That's nice length, but he's skinny. 4.52 in that skinny. It's like he's a day 3 guy with tools, but he's got some nice tape. Like, he's not a bad corner, but he's one of those guys who's like, he's a support corner. And then these last 2 guys I did want to get into. So Kyler Gordon, this guy disappointed because he was expected to fly. He came in at 5'11 and a half, 194. Some people thought he was going to be taller. Like, I saw some places say he was 6'2". I'm like, I thought he was like 6 foot. So this is closer to what I thought. But a 4.5 240. There were people saying he might challenge for fastest in the draft. Like, people were saying, like, this guy's going to be at minimum, like, they were talking like mid 4.3s. Like, they were expecting 4.3s from this guy. 4.52. So maybe there was an issue because, like, he didn't do anything other, like most of these guys didn't do anything other than 40. I'm assuming he's going to test at his pro day, and I'm just going to tentatively expect that that's going to be a significantly better time. Because he's got good tape and he's physical. And then you've got another one of the better small school guys. Fayetteville State University's Joshua Williams. Guy is huge. 6'3", 195, 32 and 7/8 inch arms. 4.53, when you're that long and you're physical, you can get away with a time that low. Well, and I say time that low, like, you don't have to be a burner. Like, Richard Sherman ran in, I think, in the 4.5s. It might have been a 4.6, but I think it was like in the 4.5s. A lot of corners end up in the 4.5s that end up being just fine at the next level. The questions come when, like, you're in first round consideration because you want everything out of those guys. 36-inch vert at that height and length is great. A 10-foot 4-inch broad jump's really good. And remember, this is a small school guy. This guy probably ends up more athletic in the pros just because he's going to be in a better strength and conditioning program. And that's one thing you have to think of for a lot of the smaller school guys. Now, some schools have better training than others. And some guys do their own stuff and but expect guys like McCollum, although Sam Houston State has better resources than you think. But, I mean, goodness. So we'll hit safeties real quick. This safety class is freaky. Louis Cine, a 4.34, and he's a physical safety. 6 foot 212, 4.34, 37-inch vert. He had a 10-foot 10-inch broad jump. He's one of the fastest safeties in the history of the Combine. And he hits like a Mack truck, 31.5-inch arms. And in my opinion, Cine has, in a pinch, I think can play outside corner. Oh, wait, sorry. I was looking at Nick Cross. My bad. I was talking about C name. Cross is 6 foot 212. That was my bad. I saw the C name and I just wasn't paying attention. Cross is ridiculous. Sorry, I'm like, wait a second. That didn't sound like Cine's broad jump or vert to me. And Cine did run a fast time, by the way. Cross is the guy, though, who's one of the fastest safeties in Combine history. Cine is really fast for the position, too, mind you. But Cross at a 4.34, I think is like one of the 5 fastest ever at the position. I'm just going to check that real quick. So, yeah, he's the second fastest ever. The only, oh, sorry. And the only guy who's faster than him is Zedric Woods out of Mississippi from 2019, who was ridiculously fast, but his tape wasn't good, and that's why you don't know who he is. So back to 2022. Cross has really good tape. He probably threw himself potentially into round 3, because I think most people had him day 3. But this is going to take people back to his tape. Percy Butler of Louisiana. This was another one of like those day 3 kind of steal type players that I was looking in on. 6 foot, 194, 31 and 5/8 inch hands with that kind of speed. Now, his vertical's not great. 31 and a half's not great. But a 10 foot 3 inch broad jump's pretty good. But he's got really good range, but he's not going to be like, you're not going to see him steal a ton of jump balls. JT Woods of Baylor. Baylor's got 2 really nice safety prospects in this draft. Woods is a tall safety, 6'2", 195, 32 and a half inch arms. And he's got the explosion. 4.36, 39 and a half inch vert, 10 foot 8 broad. I still think he goes day 3, but some team might love his like tools and move him into round 3. I like the tape of his teammate Jalen Petrie. I think it's Peter, Pitre, who did not work out at the combine. I think because of like some kind of minor injury. Tyson Anderson of Toledo. Like, all these guys made themselves money. And locked down draft spots. Like, they're going to get drafted and they're going to have team, or they're going to make teams. 6'2", 200, 33 inch arms. This guy's got great length. 4.36 with a 35 and a half inch vert, 10.3 broad, 6'6", 4.3 cone, 4.28 20-yard shuttle. With as much too deep safety as is being played lately, guys like Woods and Anderson, who are long and fast, guys who can get to the boundary really quickly and get downhill from playing, up top, and because you're going to see a lot of too deep safeties, you're going to see a lot of 6-man boxes. Guys who can get downfield from being back off the line of scrimmage in a hurry like them, really important types of players. Cine is, to me, the best of that, and he's a true free safety. Like, this guy has the elite range. The 4.38 speed shows it. I think Cine is a first-round level safety prospect, and I have from the beginning. Like, I love him, even though he played for Georgia, which Georgia's defense is ridiculous. From the past 2 years. 6'2", 199, 32 and a quarter inch arms. I think Cine can play corner as well. See, this is the thing. I thought his broad jump was better than the other guys, and I was right. So that's an 11 foot 1 inch broad jump, 36 and a half inch vertical, and 4.37 speed for Cine. The guy's a monster. Who I think he and Dax Hill, who's right there out of Michigan with a 4.38 in the 40, 6 foot 191. This is another guy. A lot of teams believe he can play corner, and he can. He's got great coverage skills. 32 and a quarter inch arms, 6.57 3 cone, 406 yard or 406 20-yard shuttle. 10 foot 1 broad, 33 and a half inch vertical. So his vertical, like his explosiveness isn't quite as crazy as some of these other guys, but he's really smooth. Like, and when you compare as smooth as his hips move with 4.38 speed, that's just impressive. Marquis Bell of Florida A&M might have moved out of day 3. Like, another one of these small school guys that I'm like, this guy's one of the best day 3 has to offer. He's 6'2", 212, 32 and a half inch arms, 4.41 speed, good jumps, 36.5 vert, 10.3 broad, 4.46 20-yard shuttle. This was another guy who just looked incredible during the, I believe he was an East-West Shrine Bowl guy. The guy's legit. And wouldn't be shocked if he ends up as good or better than some of these guys like that we've already talked about who came from bigger schools. He's going to be a starter for a long time, and to me, he fits the mold and the skill set, and his tape reminds me a lot of some of the safeties, or of some really good safeties. I think he fits really well for the Rams and the Niners, what they do defensively, what they want to do defensively. The Chargers have safeties they don't need to take, but they could take a guy like that too. Some people are still talking about him. He's going to be a day 3 guy. The tools and the tape is just so good. But there's that small school vibe, that likely knocks him down draft boards. And, I mean, some other just really good athletes. What's crazy is there are more guys who ran in the 4.3s in this safety class than ran in the 4.4s. Like, double. Like, I mean, just look at that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys who ran in the 4.3s. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys running the 4.4s. I mean, the speed of this class is ridiculous. And you got, and one of my favorites, and there's a bunch of like really good safeties. We saw Bubba Bolden up there out of Miami. I think he's going to be a really good player. Really good tools. I love Jaquan Brisker. This guy, you want to talk about a guy who could play in the slot and played outside corner. This guy lined up everywhere. Sometimes they would just line him up against the other team's best receiver. But 4.49 in the 40, 22 bench press reps at under 200 pounds. Or 199, so he's like right there. It's 31 3/4 inch arms, 6'1", 34.5 inch vert, 10'4" broad jump. Brisker's legit. And he can play free safety, he can play strong safety, he can play in the slot. Another guy to look at. I was been putting out some really nice safeties that go like day 3. And I think Dane Belton could be in that mix as well. 6'1", 205, 31-inch arms, 4.4 340, good jumps. Kind of in that, what you're seeing from a lot of these other guys, 36.5 vert, 10'3" broad. 7-second 3-cone drill is a little bit of a red flag. So he's not going to be potentially doing... he might be worrisome in man coverage. But a 4.24 20-yard shuttle... This guy kind of looks like a downhill type safety. Or you sit him back in zone. But if you're going to take a day 3 flyer on someone, I think he's a really good one. You've also got Oklahoma's Delorean Turner Yell. I want to say early in his career he was a corner, and I think he transferred there. I might be wrong. But 5'10", 197, a little bit of a thicker built safety. 31 3/4 inch arms, which at 5'10", that's nice arm length. 4.4 740, 10.2 broad. He's going to get drafted day 3. Then you got Smoke Monday out of Auburn. 6'2", 207 pound safety, 32.5 inch arms. I think he played some corner. 4.52, 10.4 broad. 7 second 3-cone drill, and that's why he's a safety. But Monday is physical. He's a great tackler. He'll help you in run support for sure. And don't worry about Kyle Hamilton's slow 40. He's still getting back from that knee injury, and his tape is it's some of the best tape you'll see of any safety ever in college. And he's 6'4", 220, 33-inch arms. And you look at the explosion numbers look fine. 38-inch vertical. I'm kind of shocked he didn't go over 40, to be honest. Just short of an 11-foot broad jump at 10 foot 11 inches. A 6'9" 3-cone and a 4'3" 2-inch shuttle. He plays better in those times, and I wouldn't be shocked if he did all that stuff at his pro day if he shaved like a tenth of a second off some of those times. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up running a 40 in the sub 4.5 range, or at least in the low 4.5s. And then you've got also, this is another guy I've heard some people talk about, Jave Thomas, a thick 6'1", 212 safety with 32 and 3/8 inch arms. Not super fast, 4.55, but 17-inch bench press reps. That's really good for a safety. 34-inch vert, 10.2 broad. Another box safety type, though. But physical tackler, you like those. It's like everybody needs those guys. He's a late round pick that I think people should be, elated with. So now that I've gone for like, oh my goodness, have I gone over 2 hours? I'm sorry. With that being said, we're going to wrap up the show. There's one more piece of news before I tune out here. Cain Velazquez has been denied bail, which probably means that him being identified as the shooter in that shooting in Santa Clara or San Jose, like that area that I reported on last week. I think it was last week. Yeah, beginning of last week. That probably confirms he is the shooter. We don't know it's like I don't know any details about the shooting. It's like I'm going to try and wait a minute. I'll probably pull up that article tomorrow now. I was going to do it today, but I just got locked in on the combine stuff because this is stuff that I like. That's basically going to be the base of my channel. Is prospect analysis is one of the big things. It's the crossover between college and pro football, and I love college and pro football. I love team building. So sorry for the nerding out in that regard, but once we get past like me going through these combine numbers the next couple days, we'll get into. Well, I'll probably also get into like kind of the next like week or so because March 16th, I believe, is the start of the league year for the NFL. So that's when free agency is going to start popping off. The franchise tag deadline is tomorrow, and I did have it pulled up on ESPN. Before I go off, let me check and see if anyone else has. If there have been any other signings. Or if there have been any extensions announced. So we're still looking at. So we know the 2022 salary cap, which is $208.2 million. Roger Sherman pleads guilt. Oh, that was something we talked about. So in that whole thing, so we'll talk about that probably tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and open that in a new tab for tomorrow. The Eagles. Sorry, I read that. Yeah, so the Bengals have franchised Jesse Bates. Jack Dole's retired. The Browns have franchise tagged David Njoku, and the Chiefs have franchise tagged Orlando Brown. Those three franchise taggings, not a shock to me. That I'm not surprised by. So, with that being said, that's the end of the show. Cain Velazquez, once again, I said, has been denied bail in the apparent shooting of a man and is under arrest for attempted murder. We'll see what happens there as facts continue to come out, because it's only been a week. I think it's still technically been less than a week. So, but we'll look in on the information for that tomorrow. We'll look into the Roger Sherman pleading guilty to which I believe this stems back to last summer when he had that whole drunk driving incident and also trying to invade. I think like he assaulted his like uncle or his girlfriend or like his wife's uncle. Yeah, I think it was like his wife's uncle or something like that. It was just a crazy situation. So, that being said, this has been Blind Eye Live, and the show will be shorter tomorrow, I promise. For those of you who listen, and those who really are interested in the Combine coverage, appreciate you. And we'll get more into that and and we'll get into the offense tomorrow.